Why did I become a lawyer against DCF in Massachusetts? Why I became a lawyer against DCF in Massachusetts was kind of a multiple state process. And it began in law school. I had a judge who was a juvenile court judge, and he taught a class towards juvenile law. And so I would go to this class at night, and I'd be tired, or I'd be hungry, or I'd be tired and hungry. And when I left his class, each and every night, I was never tired, I was never hungry. And he began the first class showing all these cats and dogs throughout the United States of America. Then he put up the statistics of how much we spend on dogs and cats in America. Then he started showing pictures of children in America that had been abused and neglected, malnutritioned. Then he went back to the cats and dogs and all the money we spent on cat and dog food. And it just really hit me that we take better care of our animals than we do of our own children in this country, which sounds just preposterous, but it was true. Then he started reading letters about inmates, about how much they loved their children. And one individual in particular was put in jail for putting his child into boiling, scalding hot water in a pan on the stove. And what happened was, this individual was talking about how they loved their child and yet intentionally abused the child. And it just grabbed me. It just really stopped me. It just made everything seem so insignificant in my life. So when I got out of law school, one of the first cases that was in the office where I was practicing with all these criminal lawyers. Out of the 6 of them, 4 of them became judges, one which is recently appointed to the Superior Court. Outstanding lawyers who went on to become judges. And I would just sit there and listen to them. And I very rarely said anything because I wanted to be like a sponge. And one day one of them had a case, and it was involving a mother who had a husband who was cheating on her. And to make a long story short, the father was having a short course and intercourse with the secretary across her desk every night. And so she became pregnant. He got divorced from my client. So they had older children. And mom came home on a Halloween weekend and brought home 3 different costumes for her daughter, 16 years old at that time. And the daughter tried on all 3 costumes. Mom, being a single parent, that must have cost a few bucks. And she came out and she called the mother a bitch. And the mother instantaneously slapped her across the face and says, "Don't you ever call me that name again." They went out that night. Mother was a chaperone for the high school dance for her daughter. The following night on Saturday, she took her and all her girlfriends out trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. And then on Sunday, the daughter went to the father's house. The father, who was an auxiliary police officer in the town, went and filed on Monday restraining orders in probate court, and also filed something with DCF, saying that mother had physically abused the child. Now, with that all said, mother was with the child Friday night, Saturday night. There was no marks or bruises or any injury on the child's face. Should she have slapped the girl? Perhaps not. But she just instantaneously did it, and she was very, disappointed in her daughter, who she had raised, who she had taught to be respectful. Now, I get this case. I've got probate court, I've got a fair hearing, and I also got district court for restraining order. I go into Salem District Court, and an old judge who's just getting ready to retire, whose son now is a judge in the same court, Judge Doyle. And I told Judge the same story I just said here. And when I got done telling Judge Doyle the story, he looked at me, he looked at my client, he looked at the father, he looked at the father's attorney and said, "You know something, I would have done the same thing to your daughter." What she did was totally disrespectful. Dismissed. And the judge dismissed the restraining order. And as I'm leaving, I said to my client, "Don't say anything. Let's get out of here." And the attorney on the other side was from the largest law firm on the North Shore. And she was arguing with the judge. And the last thing I heard going out the door was the judge yelling at this attorney, "You say one more word, I'm going to lock you up and hold you in contempt." Next court we had to go to was to the family probate and family court. And the argument there was to the judge, father was trying to do in district court, which was unsuccessful. What he's trying to do now here in probate and family court, get custody of his daughter, so that he would have someone to babysit the newborn baby and have help around the house. And also to try and alienate the child from the mother by saying things that just weren't true. It was a simple fact pattern. The mother slapped the child across the face for calling her a bitch. You know, that's not physical abuse. There was no marks or bruises. She didn't mean to hurt the child. She just wanted to focus the child. Now, some will say, and I'll agree with it, she shouldn't have done it. I readily admitted that to the judges. But she did do it. But that's no reason to take a child from a mom at age 16. In the probate and family court, they agreed with me. They dismissed the case. Next, I had to go to a fair hearing. And in the fair hearing, I had to go up against DCF. At that time, the district attorney from the Essex County sister was the supervisor of the case. So I had the government on top of the government on top of the government against me. And we did a fair hearing, and we appealed at the Superior Court, and we won. We had the case reversed, overturned, and unsupported. So now father had nothing to go on. His attempts to try and alienate his daughter and trying to get his daughter away from the mother failed miserably. And after winning in 3 different forums in like a week, I thought to myself, wow, there's something to this DCF law. Because every single case was driven. And the first thing the father said in district court, in probate court, and at the fair hearing was, we have a supported 51A against mother for physical abuse. And so instead of using the DCF process, the DCF social worker, the DCF supervisor, and the area program manager, and the area director, and all the resources of DCF as a shield to protect children, it was now being used as a sword to try and get custody from the mother. And when that failed, the mother had tears of joy in her eyes. And she gave me the biggest hug at the hearing and just uncontrollably broke down crying. And it was so emotional. And it was so much of a great feeling that I've never experienced prior to that. Knowing that I made an impact, knowing that I had made a huge difference in the 16-year-old girl's life and this mother against this father who overreached and tried to use the system as, again, a sword.